So we set it up on the shaper, and we made a little tool. I'll show that later in the video. About 15 degrees back rake and probably about 2 degrees side rake. We're cutting at the top because the hole is at the top, so I can easily measure it. We squared the hole to the angle, and all we're gonna do is actually measuring the distance here. The tool distance actually. Right at the end. Considering the caliper should help sometimes. So measuring right to the edge of the tool, which is 45.28, and now we just go in and measure the distance again, and we know we either square or not. That's 1/10 of a millimeter. I think we call that good. Yeah, we are 1/10 out. Having a flimsy boring bar and a not so super rigid setup here, I think it doesn't matter. The tool is The tool is 7.7 deliberately. 7.75. It's a bit smaller. Worst case, we can offset it and just shave a little bit off the corner. The sides are fairly straight, so we should be fine with that. So what we need to do now is actually centering the hole. A bit hard to see. There is a hole here, which is exactly the center of my, but it's a 10mm hole, so hold on, 44 minus 1, so we need to go to 43 because the keyway is 8mm and the hole is 8mm. The keyway is 8mm and the hole is 10. So we should be spot on now. See where it scratches. Yeah, that's 44, and we are on 43 and a little bit less. I removed the horizontal feed, so just in case nothing's happening, everything is tight. That's just to hold it down here so it doesn't rattle. So, just checking the stroke again. We're hitting the corner of the hole, so that's fine. So, if everything is calculated correctly, the tool should actually fit into the hole. If it does, we don't know. think I need to take off a little bit here. Yeah. It's a tad too high actually, so we're gonna go extremely slow for the beginning. You can see the tool appearing in the hole at the right position. So here it's touching. So we're gonna check where it's scraping here. Hard to see actually. Let's do a few more cuts. The material is pretty hard. So I'm gonna go extremely slow. Feel it touching. I'm feeding a tiny fraction here. And as expected, it's singing here. So it's making him. It's making some chips. Hopefully, it's the boss and not the tool, but it looks good so far. I'm feeding probably about 3/100 of a millimeter per stroke, because if you go any more, it hits the boss so badly at the bottom, at the beginning, and it may hurt the tool as well. So. Yeah, it's scratching both sides fairly equal, so I'm happy with that. So let's cut that, because that's going to be a longer episode here. We'll come back if we can see some of the keyway at least. Well, that happens. If you overdo it, it just hooked it and bent it over. That's the reason why I prefer to have something sliding off in case. So reset the thing, got the boring bar, do it again. Part has survived, nothing wrong with it. It just bent the holder here. Let's do it again. So we ended up taking most of the material out. As I drilled it with a small drill and then just went it with a 7.5mm drill. Which was a bit of a pain because I had to go very slow, otherwise it would run elsewhere, but I'm through now. So the material is so hard it dulls my shaper tool within minutes, so hopefully that will give us a fairly reasonable keyway now, because we have probably about 0.5mm to cut off and obviously square the bottom, and then we should be good to go. So let's go back to the shaper and see what it does. So we're making the final cut, basically just cutting the width to size because the cutter was a bit narrower, just to make sure it's not cutting too wide. I probably got about 1/10 to go or something like that. I'll do that off camera. It's not the prettiest one. I gotta go very slow because this material is so hard, it dulls my tool if I go any faster. It's a bit annoying, but that's the way it is. We'll come back when we're done. So that's what we used. It's basically a piece of iron and a boring bar, just pressed in and locked with a grub screw. That's about it. No secret. I couldn't use any bigger boring bar because there was no space, so it worked at the end, so we're happy. Could have been better, but it worked. So we got it fitting. I just didn't push it on fully because the hole in the frame is not big enough. Otherwise I need to mess with a puller and things like that. But yeah, it fits tight. That's what I wanted. So let's drill the holes for the pulley, and then we should be ready to put it back together. So we drilled the holes, tapped them, and now we should be good to go. We made quite a few chips. The box was empty before, so it's a mess everywhere. Give it a good clean. So we got it back together, address a couple of things, fit the stop mechanism on the engine. I need to reseat the exhaust because it's blowing a little bit, but apart from that it drives. We got a nice and shiny pulley boss here, which works. A couple of other things to address, but I have no intention today because I need to cut the grass. So let's put that back together and give it a spin, and hopefully everything works. So it seems everything is working so far. We cut the grass. There's the shiny pulley. I think we need to change the belt of the mower deck because it's slipping a little bit. It's a bit too long. Yeah, it works okay so far, no major issues. I need to do something on the exhaust to get that down a little bit because it's so noisy. The reason why I got such a big battery here is I use it for jump starting cars and bikes, and also sometimes for the strimmer with a power inverter. That's the reason why I got a bigger battery there. And I can take it away for charging easily. Inside there is only room for, I think, 26 amp hours or something like that. Yeah, so I'm happy so far, all the bolts are still tight. I'm thinking about Loctiting the center bolt just to make sure it's not coming loose, but we'll see. It wasn't loose now, so we'll check that frequently, and if that's fine, we'll leave it as it is. So get the bonnet back on and call that a job done. Thanks for watching, and thank you very much for subscribing, and until next time.